这里是矽谷，看得见的是成功，看不见的是失败。这里是矽谷，耀眼的是创意，暗淡的是忧伤。这里是矽谷，让镜头带你深入矽谷，触摸人生的温度。你不知道的矽谷。今天你不知道的矽谷要带大家进入一种现代的浪漫主义，一种不一样的爱的感觉。Frances Liu 是 Charmed Events Group 的创始人，也是所有婚礼和活动的首席策划人和首席设计师。他拥有大型活动的时尚设计和活动管理背景，他的技巧、创意和时尚感与客户的需求完美的融一，帮助每一对佳偶拥有属于他们自己的使命宣言，并且透过设计使婚礼的一切变为美丽。
I'm Frances, and I'm a wedding planner and designer in the Bay Area. I grew up my whole life in the Bay Area, and I think I had a really great upbringing. You know, I grew up in church, and my parents were always supportive. They're not the usual Asian parent where they wanted me or required that, I was on a track to become a doctor or a lawyer. They really cared that I pursued, what made me happy. And so growing up, we were exposed to a lot of, creative art classes and had a lot of exposure to different things. They sent us to camp, which is something Asian parents don't do. We were a part of student ambassador programs overseas. So we had a lot of good exposure growing up, and I think all of those things helped me become who I am today.
作为一个热爱乡村生活的城市女孩，她的兴趣包括了环游世界、骑马、芭蕾，为家人和朋友举办晚宴。从小在湾区的教会长大，父母一直非常开明，用着支持的态度鼓励她追求自己的梦想。
Went to college in Irvine, and as a typical person, you go to college, you don't really know what you're studying. So I just went to Irvine and then started going to FIDM, transferred there. FIDM is Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. They have 3 campuses. So basically, when I was very young, fashion was something that I aspired to. I think a lot of young girls really love fashion, but I really wanted to make it a career. So I decided to transfer from UC Irvine and go to this fashion design school. And at that time, I was studying fashion design. I wanted to be a designer, but I actually fell more into just doing, the PR side of fashion and working for a magazine. And so my dream during those college years kind of shifted. I think everyone's goal is to work for Vogue magazine, and that was one of my goals at that time too. And I think that was what really propelled me to go to FIDM.
在她年幼的时候 ，Frances 已经知道如何塑造她未来的职业生涯。在大学时 ，Frances 梦想成为时尚杂志 Vogue 的公关，并毅然从 UC Irvine 转学进入南加州名声非常好的艺术学院 FIDM 时尚设计与行销学院。
So I fell into wedding planning. My company is Charmed Events Group. I fell into wedding planning. I had no dreams of being a wedding planner. I think a lot of times wedding planners, they either plan their own wedding or are just obsessed with weddings ever since they were a kid. And that was definitely not me. That was never anything I wanted to be or dreamed of being. As I mentioned, I was really into fashion and wanted to do that. And when I was working in LA, I kind of, was doing fashion for a long time, but I also, in the process of doing fashion, I felt like I lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I felt like I needed a break from that, so I came back to the Bay Area. And when I came back from the Bay Area, I decided that I wanted to change paths completely. So I felt like I was going to leave my design side completely behind and pursue something else. And so I actually studied to become a corporate meeting planner, and I was in the process of getting certified for all the corporate certification you need. And in the middle of that, I had a friend who was getting married, and she said, hey, can you plan my wedding for me or help me? If you're studying, meeting planning, surely you can do wedding planning. So I said, okay. At the time, I had no idea, what I was doing. I didn't really even know, what being a wedding planner meant, but I was like, I'm going to organize your wedding and do it well.
她在追求时尚之路时感到了迷失，所以转行申请了企业活动策划者的认证。 当时呢，正好有一个机会帮助一位朋友计划他的婚礼。
And I think one of the good things is growing up as a kid in church, I was a flower girl a lot. So I kind of know, I think more than the average person, just like what happens in a wedding, you know? And so that was something that was a one-up for me. That's kind of how I started. You know, it wasn't a dream, I fell into it. And once I started doing wedding planning, I felt like I really loved it because it was the plan, you know, the type A side of my personality, which was like the planning. And it kind of opened up the doors again for design for me because you know, I mentioned I was completely ready to leave the design part completely behind and do something else, but in doing wedding planning, it reopened that creative side of me, and that's kind of how I started Charmed Events Group.
因为在教会长大，他当过了好几次的花童，因此 Frances 对婚礼策划有很多尝试。那次为友人策划婚礼呢，竟也重新激发了他对创意的热情。
I started Charmed Events Group 8 years ago, and what the company looked like back then is very different than what it is now. When I started, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was a one-woman show. And to a certain extent, there's parts of the business where I still am a one-woman show, but when I first started, you know, I had my sister help me on weddings. She was my assistant, and you know, when you start, you always want to portray like a bigger image of what you are than who you are, you know, and so that's kind of what I did. And now, 8 years later, you know, I definitely have a team. So, you know, we have producers, assistants, and everybody that's assigned to a different role. But I think that probably the main difference between when I first started to now is probably just the clientele that I have. I think that I've really created a certain personality with my company where people have certain expectations, and I'm also looking for a certain client, you know, and so if our profiles fit one another, then that's kind of what I look for in a client.
2010年 ，Frances 开启了 Charmed Events Group。当时呢，她是一人独秀，只有她的妹妹偶尔抽空能够帮助她。现在呢，她有了一个团队，其中包括策划人、助理和其他各种的人员，被分配不同的工作。他的客户族群也和以前截然不同，通常会找上 Frances 的佳偶，多是在寻找一定规模的婚礼顾问。
So many different types of wedding planners and wedding planning services. They have what we call day of coordination, where somebody just steps in to help you coordinate the day. I do a little bit more, or I do a lot more than that. I actually don't do day of coordination. We just do full service, which is planning and design. I think if you're planning a wedding, no matter what you do or what your budget is and expectation, please hire a planner because it will save your life and save your marriage to be. But basically, you know, wedding planners, our job is really to be able to manage the day, and we're really here as a partner to you. So, you know, whatever you want to happen at your wedding, like, we're the ones that make it happen. So, you know, we really take care of all of the communication with your vendors, really execute the plan that you have in mind. And in our case, you know, we are more heavy on design and planning. So we are the ones that create the whole vision of your wedding, and then we go and you know, contract all the vendors that we feel like are a good fit to you, like either aesthetically or budget-wise, and we really just produce the whole wedding for you. So I think that these days in America, people are really looking for a personalized experience. In the relationship they have with you in wedding planning, they really want to feel that you're there for them and really on their side. And I think that in terms of expectations, same thing. You know, people really want to go the distance in customizing their wedding. So it's not just throwing a dinner, and it's not just having, you know, a hotel do it for you. They really want their personalities to be shown through their wedding day, and that's what we do.
婚礼策划人员的服务种类繁多。而 Frances 所经营的是一家全方位服务的规划和设计公司，她的工作是控管婚礼当天所有的状况，帮助创造婚礼的整个 feel、美观和预算的掌控。这是一个依照客户想表达的感动而塑造出的体验。她的团队呢，以最高效率执行出客户的要求。
I think weddings, at the end of the day, you know, all the pretty and everything aside, what's most important to couples is the meaning behind why they do what they do. That's our job, to really figure out who they are and to execute that. Wedding planning is trying to figure out what exactly is important to the client, and how do we incorporate that into the design that's still tasteful. Every company goes through ups and downs, and I've done this for 8 years, and I've surely learned a lot. I think there's probably a couple things. I think number one is just, at the end of the day, it's all about customer service, right? And it's about your relationship with them. So just to be able to manage crises or just to manage expectations, find effective ways of communicating with a client, I think that's always ongoing, especially with all media these days and different platforms of communication. I think at the end of the day, making sure that the client is happy, that's probably the most important thing. And I've learned a lot in what I need to do to make that client happy, and everybody's way of feeling loved and supported is different. So to be able to manage that is one of those things that are ever changing.
在忙碌的一天，婚礼结束的时候，所有的一切都是关于客户的服务与客户之间的关系。要确保客户是很开心的，是最重要的。也因为每个人对支持和被爱的感觉是不同的 ，Frances 从过去年日的洗礼，已经能够纯熟的让不同个性的客户都感受到一份独特的爱和包容。
And I think another thing that I'm not just me, but I think a lot of businesses is that, as you grow, sometimes you do come into a point where you look at what other people are doing, you wonder, like, am I doing enough? And you go through moments of comparison and moments of feeling like you're not good enough, or how can I get my business to be where other people's businesses are? And I think that's a reality. It's not just for me, it's not just for wedding planning, it's just across the board. So, what I've learned through all of that is if you focus too much on what other people are doing, you will lose yourself and lose your own vision. And sometimes you just have to find that inner faith and confidence and just believe in what you do and believe in what you offer. I think that's just a life lesson, and that I'm continually going through, and I think everybody else is too.
Frances 说到，有些时候呢，她也会感觉力不从心。但是如果太过于关注别人的想法，一个人必会失去自我。她目前呢，也在学习坚持自己的愿景。
Our company's mission statement is the modern romantics, and every time I describe who I am as a person is that I'm a dreamer, I'm a designer, and I'm a romantic. And if anybody asks me, like, who are you, what are you about, I will always give those answers. I will never say I'm a wedding planner or I'm this or that. I always use those adjectives, and I think those adjectives are exactly what I infuse into our weddings, And so I think for me, my couples, they're modern, they're trendy. I think what people come to us is for like that romance that can be exemplified in design. So I think the modern romantics is a perfect tagline for our company, and that's kind of what we hope to bring into the weddings that we do. Where you come, things are fresh, they're modern, they're not just beautiful, they're romantic, and they have a point of view. I have a saying that I always tell couples when I meet with them is that I don't do boring weddings and I don't do cookie cutter weddings. So, I really strive to create something that's like really special in terms of design. So I would say that's who we are. We're dreamy, we're romantic, and that's our design aesthetic.
现代浪漫 （Modern Romantics） 是 Charmed Events Group 的使命。他认为呢，自己是一个设计师、梦想家和浪漫主义者，因此 Frances 将这些座右铭融入婚礼的策划中。他的客户是时尚的，而且是现代的。可是呢 ，Frances 却能够帮助他们找到了他们自己的浪漫。
Love is probably the most important thing to me, and that's something that I've actually realized probably the last 3 years. I think love is really at the core of who I am, and that's why I'm able to survive in doing weddings. And yes, I get burned out sometimes, but that's what keeps me going is love. I love seeing like my couples in love and just being able to help them celebrate in that way. But in that same way, I feel like love it's such an umbrella word. It's a big thing. I think I'm passionate about making people feel special and about giving beautiful experiences to people. And likewise, I'm really into philanthropy, and I've had so many great opportunities with my church to be able to show like that love and that inner empowerment, I think is what it is. I was able to be a part of our church's Destiny Conference, which is a young adult or youth conference, and that was something that was really special to me. I am a firm believer, I think, There's been a saying before in church that, you can be in the world but not of it. But I actually don't agree with that. I think you should be in the world and of it. I think so many times Christians, we're just in this little hole and we just hide from the world because we're just Christians and we hide our faith. But I think really the best way to show God's love and God's power is by being excellent, and so that was kind of what I was so inspired by with doing the Destiny Conference, is that we can all shine. If we're all exemplary in what we do, in our actions and in our faith, then people will see something different, and that's how we're able to express God and His love and His power in our lives.
Frances 认为爱是一切的核心，她热衷于让她的客户以及他们的贵客都感受到独一无二的爱和感动，也因此呢，她也积极参与海外宣教以及青少年事工。他个人独到的观点是说，他觉得基督徒往往隐藏在教会里，而不是与世界上的人联系在一起。但如果我们真的是闪闪发光，是优秀的人，那当我们自己表达我们跟上帝的一个关系和在我们生命中的真实性，那么社会各个阶层的人士呢，都能够感受到福音的信息。
And similarly, I go to Africa every year for the past 10 years, and that's something that was hard in the beginning, but it's turned into something that I love. And I think a lot of times we feel like we're giving Africa so much and helping them, but I feel like I've been helped so much just by my experiences of going there. And so just to be able to help with the church there, and I'm actually going again in November. It'll be my second time this year, but I'm going on an orphanage tour, and just to see like how we can, really help kids and just the communities out there with what we have is something that's special.
Frances 在过去的10年间，每年都会去一趟非洲。他说，很多时候呢，人们认为他们是去救济非洲的孤儿和难民，可是呢，对 Frances 来说，他觉得他反而在那里获得更大的爱和满足感。
2 years ago, I had this life-changing moment. I was really struggling to find how I can, I know that I do wedding planning and design, and that's something I'm good at. And then I also do wedding, events and things for church. But how do I merge that together? It seemed like I was like living separate lives. And 2 years ago, I had an experience where I was able to go to Thailand. So we had a mission team that had to go to Thailand from the Ignite group. And they said that they're going to do a mission trip. And I said, I'm not a ministry kind of person. I don't preach. I don't sing. I don't know that I can really contribute to this, And then an opportunity came from a conversation I had with the organization, and I said, hey, give me something out of the box that is a need for your group, And they said, hey, we have this community center, it'd be really great if you guys can come and do something with it. So I led a team out there, and we HGTV'd this community center. And that was probably the first time where I really felt like the talents and gifts that God gave me in the workplace was something that was able to be used for the kingdom. And that was a life-changing moment for me. And ever since, I feel like every opportunity that I have that I can combine these two, where we can really have the opportunity to use our strength for God's kingdom, is something that I really want to do.
2年前 ，Frances 遇到了个瓶颈，她渴望把自己的事业和事工结合起来。当时有个机会让她去了泰国。当地合作的组织要求他帮忙重新设计一个社区中心，因此 Frances 组建了一个团队，并利用自己的设计和创意把社区中心包装重整。Frances 呢，还有另外一个不是他自己选擇的一个身份哦，那她就是一位名牧師的女兒。
I think growing up as a PK is interesting. It's hard. There's so many opportunities. Like if I look back now, I think that a lot of the opportunities that I've had in life and just the things I can do, like have come from church, and I'm so grateful for that. But honestly speaking, growing up as a PK can be really hard because a lot of the expectations of being, a pastor's kid, of being a certain way in terms of how you behave, your attitude, people judge you for that, and what I've realized as an adult now is that they weren't really judging me, but it was just they were just judging the pre-notion of what a PK should be, what a pastor should be, and then therefore what their kid should be. So growing up was hard. I actually took 7 years off of faith. You know, when I went to college in LA, I remember telling my parents, and I also told God, I said, I am never going back to church. I'm gonna take a break. I need to find myself, you know, and I did. You know, for 7 years, I just did my own thing. But what I've also found after the 7 years was that it became a really empty time in my life. And so that journey of coming back to God was also a long and difficult one. A lot of it is, you know, in the beginning, I felt like I was forced to come back to church and to come back to my faith, and it was something that I really resisted, and I didn't want any part of it. But the more I surrounded myself with, you know, church people and just being, you know, here, it actually renewed a lot of my faith in my life and my character. And I think there was moments also in the past where I never talked about who my parents were. I never talked about my past, even to my friends. Like, my friends did not even know, like, who my parents were and what they did. You know, you say, oh, my dad's this, what, you know, I never said anything, you know, but now I'm very proud of that. You know, I think a lot of times, you know, we run away from our past and we want to ignore it. But I think that you have to embrace your past, because even if it hurts, even if there were really bad moments, because it's that past that brings you to the present. And I can honestly say, you know, right now I'm very happy. I definitely went through multiple points of renewal of my faith with God, and I think that more than ever, especially now, I really feel God is very real, you know, and I think that it's a journey. It's something not, you know, that not anybody can just tell you, like, God is real, like, because when people tell you that, you're not gonna listen, and you're just actually gonna run from it even more. But it's something that you really have to experience. So I feel like it took me a long time to get back to where I am now, but if it wasn't for those experiences of not wanting to be with God, then I wouldn't really know how real He is and the miracles that He's performed in my own life personally.
作为一个 pastor's kid， 很困难，却也很特别。在成长过程中，曾经因为某些人倾向对于牧师的孩子有些不合理的期望，负面影响他自我的认知。Frances 曾经离开教会生活长达7年，离开他的教会社区是一段孤独而艰辛的旅程。曾经有一段时间，他从不谈及他的父母是谁，但那几年的经历却使他释怀了过往。他现在以成为牧师的孩子感到自豪。他经历了多次的更新，并真实地认识了爱他的上帝。今天，教会是他生活的一部分。Frances 说，他对待爱的方式是，那不仅是一种感觉，而是一种生活方式。他认为浪漫、美丽、美感、自我独特的风格都对灵魂有益，而且呢，最喜欢带出的是一个永恒的美感。Frances 和他带出的团队拥抱爱作为生活最优秀的艺术作品。他们并且相信，最好的婚礼是讲述一个美丽的爱情故事。他真的是可以比一个现代的浪漫主义者。
I think love and romance, it's hard to define, because love and romance actually, at the end of the day, it's a feeling. And so, you know, when I say love and romance, that means that, like, I want to create a feeling in the weddings that we create. Our work gets picked up in magazines a lot and in blogs, and I think that in itself is something that I'm very proud of. It's to be able to have our work published is something that's really great. But there's a couple times or events, you know, where my own peers have, you know, recognized our work. So we've been asked in the past to design a gala for our community, which is our, you know, San Francisco Catering Association. So we created an entire gala out of it. That's something I'm really proud of, because that means that our peers, you know, really believed in our work and loved it and wanted to see us do something for the community. We've also been asked to be part of designer showcases, and I've also been asked by magazines to specifically create editorials for their magazines. So those are things that I'm really proud of. I still have a lot of aspirations and goals that I'm trying to achieve, but yeah, I'm really proud of, you know, where we've come with being published and being recognized in our community.
Frances 为 Charmed Event Group 他自己的公司及团队的作品呢，经常在杂志和媒体上得到发表而感到骄傲。而且呢，旧金山餐饮协会的联欢晚会每年呢都是由 Charmed Event Group 策划。他团队呢时常在设计师展示的杂志上讨论，而且被表扬。虽然 Frances 仍然有很多愿望和目标， 但他因为他的努力得到了社区的认可以及天赋的赞扬，而感到满足快乐。也是因为他人生的际遇，使他认识了赐予我们永恒生命、无条件的爱的造物主。那相信因为呢，他这么特别的成长过程，使他能够帮助所有佳偶刻画出独一无二、充满真爱的婚礼。